any volume on? Because I think you're live on the internet, folks. So I think I told it to start at 6:40. I don't know if you want to be up or not. Did we get the scoreboard figured out or not?
Test. 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2. I don't know if the volume levels there are good or not, but I can hear myself in my ear. So here comes Darcy. Well, folks, if you're honest with on the internet, as you could see, they were having Parents' Night, and so the festivities just completing here. The JV game went 3 sets, and the Broncos winning it 2-1. So we'll have a little delay in the start of this game because it's about 6:47 or so, and they'll have 20 minutes of warm-up, national anthem, etc. So I would say this match will get started, right around 10 after 7, towards quarter after 7, depending upon how quickly the ladies get on the floor to warm up. So please bear with us as we get ourselves set and not get things started too early. But we will have this match for you starting here with the pregame, maybe right around 7 o'clock.
No.
Test. Now I can hardly hear myself. Was this in my ears? And this is the mic? Doesn't seem okay. Testing 1 2 1 2. Test 1 2 1 2. See, it doesn't seem to change, but it changes when I do this. This must be the ears.
Your ears is on this.
Okay. Okay, so where does that need to be set at about, Jay? The mic.
Look up here.
Yeah, and where do we want it?
You guys don't want to be too bright.
We want it to be in the green to yellow, so I would say somewhere, see one in there a little bit, or you want a little peak in there? No?
Right below.
Right below, right there. Test, there it is. Ooh, see, we'll get her set.
What's the login for Cablecast? What's the password? Is it the other way around? Is it admin?
Well, I saw the scoreboard there for a second. There it is.
Yeah, I know. I can't get it
To go little?
shrink.
Gotcha.
It won't let me click that button for some reason. You might have to.
Well, and I can say the score you know, more often, and we can show the scoreboard every once in a while too.
I think we're going to have to go with that for now because I don't know why it's not working. And I got to get back down there pretty quick. Yeah, that's not the issue. It's showing up. There's just something on the control here that it's not letting me click, and I don't know why. The part where I click it to make it smaller won't let me click it. I'm gonna unplug this.
Yep. Those computers will do that. Jackpot.
Have fun, folks. You're on the internet. You're on TV and internet. No worries.
What about the interview? Okay. go at 10 minutes on the clock. I want to start talking. So I think I can fill 10 minutes. So, yep. So when we get to 10, that's when I'm going to start talking. So. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Falls High Gymnasium as we get set for the final regular season volleyball match for the International Falls Broncos as they take on the Littlefork Big Falls Vikings. Tim Ringhoffer joining you here. This evening, as I mentioned, it is the final regular season game. It's hard to believe next week is going to be playoff time. As the Broncos will be playing in the playoffs next Wednesday night. We'll talk a little bit more about the playoff situation in a few minutes, but of course this border battle here between the Vikings and the Broncos is part two. These teams have only played one time during the regular season over the last many years, but this year they added a second match right here in this final week, and I think a very good move by head coach Shelby Nosen and athletic directors and everybody involved, because the Broncos have usually played a game on last Thursday, which was the 10th, and then they haven't played for almost 2 weeks going into the playoffs. This will kind of minimize that time in between matches, in between the regular season and the playoffs, and so I think a great match for both teams. Littlefork Big Falls plays their final regular season match at Reamer tomorrow night. Got to double check my notes on that, make sure it is at Northland, and it is. And so as we look at that and think about where these two teams are going to playoffs just around the corner, it looks like the Littlefork Big Falls Vikings, they will get their playoffs started on Monday. It looks like right now if the QRF held true, they would be heading to Northwoods on Monday. And looks like the Broncos, again, look like they'd be heading to Masad East right now as the Broncos are going to be the 6, and Masad East looks like they would be the 3. But of course, we got to wait till the QRF becomes official. And for the Broncos, that is going to be on Thursday when all this will be decided. And for Littlefork Big Falls, we'll know on Wednesday who they are going to play in the playoffs. The Broncos sit at 2-15 on the season, and I had a chance earlier today to talk to head coach Shelby Nosen, and of course she said we'd love to see those numbers switched around. It's been a tough season, but the girls keep coming to practice, keep trying to get better. They come with a positive attitude, and really in the end, yes, we'd all like to see the girls win, but at the same time, you're looking for them to get better, and Coach Nosen believes that that's what has happened with these girls. Of course, it being the final night, it was parents' night, senior night, whichever way you want to look at that. 6 seniors on this Bronco team. Number 1, Holly Wold, the senior setter. Number 2, Katie Ruport, the back row player. Maria Vollum, the libero. Number 7, Caitlin Stavish, an outside hitter. Maddie Olsen, who plays out of the back row, just like Katie Ruport. And then Tennyson Ondal up in the front line, usually a middle hitter for the Broncos. And so those 6 seniors playing their final home match tonight. And there was some emotion as early on we got to see the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade girls come out, form a nice line in the JV players, and then they were able to introduce the seniors and have a very nice program in part for this. The Broncos, as I mentioned, 2-15 on the season. The last time the Broncos won a match was on Saturday, September 7th, down at the Greenway tournament. The Broncos won their season opener on the road at Deer River, and things looked like they were going very, very well. They took on Northwoods at home a couple of days later, and it went 5 sets, and I had things going, hey, this team has turned the corner, but since then, the Broncos have had a tough time winning sets, much less matches, as they have struggled to do that. They did beat Northeast Range, as I mentioned, at the Greenway tournament, but right now the Bronco girls on a 10-game losing streak, and they're looking to break that tonight against the Littlefork Big Falls Vikings. And you might recall that these two teams played back on Thursday, September 29th, down at Littlefork. The Broncos won the first set 27-25 and were ahead 17-12 in the second set, and it looked like they were really in control of that match. And then the pendulum swung right over the other way. Littlefork went on a 38-12 run, and they absolutely dominated the last 2.5 sets and won that match 3-1. So the Broncos looking to avenge that loss to the Vikings here tonight, and we'll see how that's all going to play out. This team has been on the road for the last couple of weeks with the Broncos. They started a couple of weeks ago with a match at Chisholm. Then they went to Evelyn Gilbert. The following week they went to Greenway, and then they went to Deer River last Thursday night. The Broncos outscored in sets 3-0 in 3 of the 4 matches and 3-1 against Evelyn Gilbert. So this team, again, having a tough time, and they've been in sets. They just can't seem to find that way to close it out. They'll be ahead a couple of points late in the set, and then find themselves, the other team, going on a run and just unable to finish off those sets. And we'll see again if the Broncos can find a way around that. On the other side of the ledger, Littlefork Big Falls Vikings, they come in 6-12 on the season. And looking at their record, they've had more success recently, as they were able to get a couple of wins over the last couple of weeks. And two of those were at the Big Fork tournament last week, where they beat Fond du Lac and North Home Kellier. They also beat North Home Kellier in a regular season match in 4 sets. They also beat Deer River along the way. So this team is 6-12 and feeling pretty good about themselves, I believe. Of course, should be coming in with a lot of confidence, coming off that win over the Broncos a little bit less than a month ago. One thing that you might remember about the match between the Broncos and the Vikings that we had on KCC TV back in September was no substitutes for Littlefork Big Falls that night. They played 4 sets, played all 6 girls, and Emily Fairchild, Carly Gustafson, Destiny Pekarski, Danielle Erickson, Mackenzie Swenson, and Nissa Thomas were the 6 stalwarts for the Vikings that night. I'm interested to see if head coach Stephanie Fairchild will say, look, let's see how things go here, and decide maybe that they're going to get another player into the lineup. When these two teams last played, the Vikings were 1-7 on the season, and since then they're 5-5. That's a very good record, 500 record, especially for this young team. They've got 3 seniors on the team for the Littlefork Big Falls Vikings: Emily Fairchild and Danielle Erickson and Kenzie Swenson. And then you've got the young sophomore setter, Carly Gustafson, and I'm interested to see how she has progressed since the Bronco game back in September. It was a night when she got some opportunities, but it's going to be see how she's progressed, because as a sophomore, you're looking to see how things are going to go. Things can change as you get to the end of the season. A 5-5 record is a vast improvement over that 1-7 start for the Vikings, and I think it all comes back to where you get your setter able to get opportunities. I talked with Coach Nolzen earlier this afternoon, and I said to her, how do you make sure that you get a good pass to the setter so that you can get your offense started? And she essentially said, hey, look, it's something that we work on every day, and you just try to get better and move your feet and those kinds of things. Again, looking at the Vikings record, they've got of their 6 wins, they beat Big Fork, and then I mentioned beat the Falls, beat Deer River, beat Fond du Lac, beat North Home Kellier twice, and so that's their 6 wins. They have lost their last 2. They lost 3-0 to Chisholm last Tuesday, and they also lost 3-0 to MIB on Thursday. As you can see on the clock, we're about 2 minutes and 20 seconds from the remaining in the warm-up period. Then we'll have the starting lineups and the national anthem, and we should get things underway here probably right around 7:15, which is a good night. Of course, you look into the stands, you probably see some pink shirts on the far side. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Night, and many of the people sporting their pink shirts of some sort. And of course, such an important aspect for the team. With the cancer, I think about the football team and the passing of the bucket and the things that they've done, and this community so very supportive of making sure that we take care of those that have had well, how do you say this, an experience with this awful disease, and we're out there to support them and do the things. So it's great to see the crowd. This is the only game that they've had the bleachers pulled down on both sides, and I know you can see the far side pretty full. The near side, I would say about half or a little bit better full. So what a great crowd for this border battle between the Littlefork Big Falls Vikings and the International Falls Broncos. Of course, my name is Tim Ringhofer. Darcy Sullivan pushing all the buttons. She is nervous, pacing back and forth, making sure she's ready to go. Robert Sullivan will be our cameraman tonight, and do want to remind you that this game is brought to you by KCC-TV, Couchiching County Community Television, Cable Channel 7, and we'd like to thank our members and sponsors for their continued support of our station. And boy, I'll tell you, if you enjoy this program and you are wanting to see more of this, then we'll have the Bronco football game on Wednesday night for you against the Virginia Blue Devils. And then due to some constraints with playoff games and everything else, that will be our final regular season match until the winter seasons get started. But we need your support to be able to bring you Bronco hockey and basketball and swimming, hopefully during the winter. That is our goal, and we need you to be able to do that. So if you're interested in helping KCCTV out, you can become a member, sponsor, or you can make a donation. And with your continued support, we will be able to live stream Bronco sporting events, school concerts, and community events. Information about how you can make a donation, become a member, or sponsor a program can be found on our website at kcc-tv.org. To live stream this game, if you're watching us on Channel 7 here in International Falls on Midco, you can watch this game on your phone, tablet, or your smart TV as well by going to the website at kcc-tv.org, or you can also watch it on Facebook or on YouTube as we bring those things out. But kcc-tv.org is the #1 place, and we can say that for the Two Harbors football game, and I thank everybody for doing this. We had over 200 people watching on our website. We had over 40 people watching on Facebook, and we had over 80 people watching on YouTube. So we're making our connection, we're making our move out there, and we're getting lots of people watching, not only from our community on the internet, but from other communities as well. So we hope that you're enjoying this broadcast, and again, if you really are, think about if you can make a donation to allow us to keep doing this, and it cannot be done without you. We need your support as we head through. The starting lineups are going to be announced here shortly, and when that does, we will turn the mic over to Jay Boyle, and I'll see if I can pick him up here.
It sounds better now, actually. I know, but it has changed since I don't know
what I did, but the static is gone, and I do apologize because what I'm hearing in my ears sounds nice and clear, so I didn't realize that we were possibly having an issue, but it is better now for me, and I hope that it is better for you. And again, we apologize for those problems, but we're working on those things. No, it's good. Leave it. But this, it's up here by the, it's causing the, go ahead and plug it back in. It just can't be up here because it's right next to the electronics. I think that's what's causing it.
That's the roof. You can't do that.
It's better, right? No? All right, folks. Well, we've got our starting lineups, and we're working on the humming sound, but I know that it sounds better in my ears, Darcy. So we're just about ready to get this match underway. The Broncos in their home purples with gold numerals, white trim, and the Vikings in their black uniforms, and they will be playing right to left. The Broncos, yeah, right to left, left to right for the Broncos, and we'll see who gets this match started underway as we have the teams coming out. And I'm looking down to make sure I've got my 6 Littlefork Big Falls Vikings correct. Yes, Fairchild, Gustafson, Pekarski, Erickson, Swenson, Thomas for the International Falls Broncos out there right now. You've got Wold, Sullivan, Rupert, Olson, Stavish, and Omdahl. Of course, the 6 seniors getting the start here this evening. And we're just about ready for action. I'm looking for the volleyball, and I don't see it on the far side, so it seems to me that means that the Littlefork Big Falls Vikings will get this match underway here momentarily. Maybe. Let's see which way the referee decides to toss the ball. That will help one way or the other. Ah, there we go. The floor official has it. Says, who won the toss? And he goes over to the Broncos. Holly Wold's going to get this match started for us here from left to right, the senior setter. First point of this match, if you're just joining us, is underway. Wold cross to the Vikings. Pekarski will push it over on 3. The Broncos look for a chance. Wold pushes over on 2. Set it up there by Gustafson. Battle at the net. Omdahl's going to win that, and the Broncos win the first point of this match. You might recall in the 4 sets that the Broncos played down in Littlefork, Littlefork won all first 4 points of the 4 sets down there in that match. Wold to serve again. Back row collected there by Thomas. Gustafson comes near side looking for Erickson. She goes far side. She'll come up with the first kill of the match. And a tie at 1 here for the Broncos and the Vikings as we are just underway. If you're joining us, lateness due to, well, Parents' Night. 3 3 sets in the JV with the Broncos winning it 15-6 in the third set. Serve over by the Vikings. Wolf, where will she go? Middle to Amdahl. Swings away, goes far corner. Good dig there by Fairchild. Popped up in the air out of the back row. Erickson. Back row to the Vollum, off the ceiling, and the Broncos will not get that over. And the Vikings had their first lead at 2-1. Ready to serve here for the Vikings is Danielle Erickson. Takes her time, floats one over. Vollum, back row. Good pass to Wold. Quick one to Amdahl, who punches it over on 3. Gustafson to Pekarski. She swings away off the net, off the hands of Wold, and it's a kill for Pekarski, and the Vikings lead it by a score of 3-1. Erickson serve, a floater into the net, and the side out goes to the Broncos at 3-2. We also don't have the scoreboard on. You've got it on the flag. So if we could get that changed, scoreboard, we've got it on the flag. Ready to serve here for the Broncos is Katie Ruport. Serve over, collected there by Erickson to Gustafson, set up near side. Mackenzie Swenson just gets that inside the near antenna. She gets the kill, and it's 4-2 in favor of the Vikings. And now, I believe, yes, I can see the scoreboard up there. So Gustafson, the setter, to serve for the Vikings. Back row, Ruport, pass a little bit long. Pekarski takes a swing at that, hits it into the net. And on the side out here, the Broncos closed it within 4-3. And welcome back. We were testing out the volume to see if where our issues were at. And so we are ready to go back here with Pekarski the serve. Vollum to Ruport. And Vollum cannot get it over on 2, and we are going to be tied at 6. Third tie here in the match. Pekarski, serve over, Ruport. Wold runs it down, and Olivia McBride puts that one over. Vikings. Swenson swings away, blocked at the net by Sullivan. Now swinging away is going to be Emily Fairchild. It is out. And we have the point to the Broncos as it was hit long. So 7-6 in favor of the Broncos. Ready to serve here is going to be Maddie Lawrenson, the new setter for the Broncos as she comes into the match. Gustafson pops one up for Swenson. She goes deep to the far corner and a little long. And on the hitting air, it's 8-6 in favor of the Broncos. Lawrenson to serve again. A little bit long on that serve, and that'll give the serve back to the Vikings here as it now 8-7 in favor of the Broncos. Ready to serve is Mackenzie Swenson. Just clears the net. Vollum with the pop-up out of the back row. Swinging away is McBride, and she's wide to the far side, and we're tied at 8. Swenson to serve again. Back row, Ruport. Up towards the net. Lawrenson pops it back up in the air. Volleyball will knock it over on 3 into the near corner. Swenson took a swipe at that, and then a little miscommunication gives the point to the Broncos as they lead here at 9-8. You can try it. A couple of substitutions coming in here for the Broncos. Gracie Swenson and also Maddie Olson coming back into the match. Again, miscommunication between the Vikings gives the 10-8 lead to the Broncos as we've got equipment falling all over the place. Serve is over. Pekarski. Gustafson runs it down. Swinging away here is going to be Fairchild. Popped up in the air a couple times by the Broncos. And knocked over. Ooh, off the net by Sullivan. Gets the point to give the lead at 8-3. Excuse me, to 11-8 as we continue to see where our issues could be at. Maddie Olson, serve over, just clears the net. It's a good one, and the Vikings cannot get it over on 3 quick hits, and it's a 4-point lead. Biggest lead of the match, and Coach Stephanie Fairchild is going to take a timeout here, and that'll allow us to remind you that this game is brought to you in part by KCC TV, Couchiching County Community Television, Cable Channel 7. And we'd like to thank our members and sponsors for their continued support of our station. To live stream the game on your phone, computer, or TV, visit our website at kcc-tv.org and click on the live stream link at the bottom of the page. And of course, you can always pick us up on Facebook and also on YouTube. As we come back to action here, Maddie Olson, serve is over. Fairchild pops it up for Erickson, and she hits it into the net. And Stephanie Fairchild, head coach for the Vikings, looking to get things changed there a little bit, and the momentum, and it stays right with the Broncos as they lead at 13-8. Olson serving again, just over the net, comes off the net, and it's an ace. And showing some excitement there, number 9, as she should, as the Broncos have increased their lead to 6 here. It has been a 6-0 run after the Vikings had tied it at 8. Into the back row. Gustafson looking for Fairchild. She swings away off the block. Swenson there to pop it up for the Broncos. Sullivan goes over on 3, a little bit out of the reach there of Mackenzie Swenson. It heads towards the bleachers, and the Broncos have increased their lead to 15-8. Coach Fairchild may have to think about calling that second timeout of hers in this first set. A floater into the back row. Pekarski to Gustafson. Set up for Fairchild. Into the back row. Vollum has it up in the air. Lawrenson. Sullivan pushes over. Finds a spot in the Vikings defense, but a good dive there by Erickson. Get it back over on the third hit and with the help of her teammate. Broncos over on 3. Right back to the Vikings. Blocked by Sullivan. Swinging away is Erickson off the block of Thorstensen. And that finally stops the run of 8 straight for the Broncos as Littlefork cuts their deficit to 15-9. Ready to serve here is Thomas. And up into the ceiling, and a point for the Vikings. So back-to-back points at 15-10. Excuse me, yes, 15-10. As Thomas will go back to serve once again. Back row. This is Olson. Popped up by Sullivan, and Vollum will bump it over on 3. Vikings looking for a setup here. They come to Fairchild. Blocked at the net by Thorstensen. And the Broncos move the lead back up to 16-10. In comes Omdahl. Out goes Vollum. Ready to serve is going to be Chloe Sullivan. Back row. Passes a little bit long. Swenson will take advantage of that. Gracie getting the kill. And the Broncos increase that lead back up to 7 points. Little jump serve here from Sullivan on the way. Near corner, Pekarski. Right at the net, battle for it. Off the hands of Erickson, off the antenna. And 18-10, the biggest lead of this match for the Broncos. Sullivan, serve on the way, back row. Swenson, set up for Fairchild, off the block. Gracie Swenson there for the Broncos. Back to Swenson it goes. She swings away, dug out by Erickson. They'll come to Fairchild right at the net. She will not be able to get there. And the lead now to 9 at 19-10. And Coach Fairchild, she's going to take that second timeout right now. Tomorrow, the Bronco cross-country teams, they are going to be down at Hoyt Lakes at the golf course in Hoyt Lakes for the IRC meet, their final regular season meet. Of course, their section meet comes up at Cloquet next Thursday morning/afternoon, depending upon whether the girls or the boys are running. And then, of course, the Bronco girls swimming and diving team, they've got their, I believe, their final home meet of the year as they take on War Road, Roseau, Badger, Greenbush, Middle River tomorrow. 4:30 is the start time at the Falls High Pool. So come on out and support the girls tomorrow afternoon as they have, again, I believe their final regular season match at home. Next week they've got a couple of meets as they have a quadrangular at Virginia, and then they go to Mesabi East for their final duel of the year next Thursday. And their sections take on, I think, about the 8th of November and the 10th of November. And those that section meet will take place in Hibbing this year. Bronco football on the air on Wednesday night as we come back with the Broncos leading at 19-10. The Vikings have used both their timeouts. Sullivan to serve. Back row, popped up in the air by Thomas, getting a hand on it there. Swenson, but not a third touch as that serve receives so important right now. And the Broncos doubling up the Vikings here in set one at 20-10. Sullivan waiting for the ball to come back to her. She now has it. Broncos just 5 points away from taking set one. Substitution, number 17, Addison Williams into the back row for the Vikings. Sullivan serve on the way towards Swenson. Popped up in the air by Williams and now bumped over on three by Erickson. Broncos will set it up. Omdahl swings away and off the hands of Williams and down it goes. And the Broncos up 21-10. Right now, everything going the Broncos' way. They have outscored the Vikings since LBF tied it at 8-8. 13-2 run here for the Broncos. Those runs don't come that often in the game of volleyball. Sullivan into the back row. Thomas. Gustafson gets there. Sets it up for Fairchild. Comes off the ceiling. And the Vikings unable to get it over, and it's 22-10. Sullivan. I should have been keeping track of how many in a row. I believe this is 6 or 7 serves in a row here. It's over. That's Swenson. Set up for Erickson. Off the block, right back to the Vikings. Erickson will swing away again. Off the block of Dawsonson, and there's the point. There's the stop. So a 7-point run and a 6-point run here for the Broncos. Pardon me, a 7-point run. So back-to-back 7-point runs as the Falls leads at 22-11. Fairchild. Serve, a hard one over. Olsen comes up with it, off the ceiling. Lawrenson gets to it. Omdahl pops it over off the hands of Pekarski, and the Broncos just 2 points away at 23-11. Couple of substitutions coming in. Wold and Stavish into the lineup as Dawsonson and Lawrenson go out of the lineup. Serve by Wold, near corner, popped up in the air by by Swenson, off the ceiling, and the Vikings can't get a second touch, and it's set point here for International Falls at 24-11. Wold, Williams, not a second touch in the Broncos, will take set one by a score of 25-11. If you'd have told me that before the first set before this match started, the Broncos would win set one 25-11, I said, whew, that's a big disparity for a team that lost 3-1 to the Vikings just about 4 weeks ago. But the Broncos do exactly that, 25-11. And we're going to let Darcy push some buttons here, and I'm going to stop talking. I don't know. This cord was pretty bent over, Jay. But I'm not hearing any static in my ears, so it's got to be going into the computer. It's got to be an issue there.
It doesn't go through the computer to get on the internet.
It goes through that box.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. It has to be. So we'll just try unplugging that and plug it back in. Yeah.
Earlier this evening, the Bronco JV volleyball team took set 1, lost set 2, and then won set 3 by a final score of 15-6. So the Broncos JV winning their final match of the season. As I mentioned, this is the final regular season match for the Broncos, and they will start their playoffs next Wednesday. It looks like if the playoffs were set right now today, they would be taking on the Masabi's Giants on the road. The Littlefork Big Falls Vikings, they've got 2 matches remaining, this one here tonight, and then they go on the road to Reamer tomorrow night to take on Northland of Reamer. And we've got some announcement getting ready to go here for the fans. But as I mentioned, the Vikings have one more game. Again, if their playoffs were played today, it looks like they would get the number 11 seed and then be playing at number 6 Northwoods. But of course, with all the matches going on yet this week, and then the seeding is official on Wednesday morning for those of you that follow along with the Vikings. So something to be looking for if you are an LBF Vikings fan. As I look out onto the floor for the Broncos, they've got Omdahl, Gracie Swenson, Holly Wolf, Caitlin Stavish, and Maria Vollum, and number 20, that's Lucy Kennedy in the back row. And the Vikings, they have their same 6 starters out there of Erickson, Fairchild, Thomas, Gustafson, Pekarski, and who did I miss? Oh, Danielle Erickson, I think, on the, no, I missed Mackenzie Swenson on the far side. So almost ready to get set 2 underway, and the Vikings will have the honors here in set 2. As it'll be Danielle Erickson to have the honors. First serve on the way, back row Vollum. Off the hands, her and Kennedy maybe touched on that one. I couldn't quite tell, but the first point goes to the Vikings in set 2. And again, that strategy. How do you rotate your team to get started with what's going on in the front row? Both coaches can change that around, and so you'll see maybe some change in this match. Erickson, near side, Stavish up in the air. Kennedy, second one off the ceiling, and down it goes, and it's 2-0 in favor of Littlefork Big Falls. Erickson waits patiently for the official. Now gets the whistle. Nice and slow, nice and easy over the net. Kennedy to Wolf. Back set for Gracie Swenson. She swings away, dug out in the back row. Battle at the net. Knocked over by Omdahl. Vikings have it now where they'll bump it over on 3. Wolf, Vollum, Stavish swings away, off the net, down it goes, and the Broncos have their first point of set 2 as they trail it by a score of 2-1. All time in this series, the Broncos lead at 36-23. Of course, the Vikings own the bragging rights as they won 3-1 back on September 19th. Swenson serve is over. Erickson, Gustafson, bumped over there by Thomas, and down it goes, by Swenson for the point. Apologies. A 10 and 11, I don't know. Those front numbers are so small. And I apologize for those Vikings fans. Olsen in for the Broncos as Swenson goes out of the lineup. And this will be Carly Gustafson, the setter for the Vikings, to serve it leading 3-1. Vollum, that short dropping ball. Wolf pops it up for Stavish. She goes over the top of the block. Dug out there by Thomas. On 3, Pekarski off the block and comes up with the kill. And it's a 3-point lead for the Vikings. Gustafson will go back to serve as I don't know what all those kids are doing Behind the play, they shouldn't be there. Kennedy gets a piece of it. Wolf punches it over on 2, but it's wide of the far sideline. And all of a sudden, it's a 4-point lead for the Vikings at 5-1. Gustafson will continue to serve for the Vikings. Back row Olsen. Tripped a little bit, but got it up in the air for Wolf. Swinging away Omdahl. Back row dig by Fairchild. Far side. Looking for Pekarski. Blocked at the net. Broncos got away with a net touch there and got it over on 3, and a good scramble play by the Broncos. Swinging away again is Swenson. Blocked at the net by the Broncos, and somehow the Vikings get it over on 3, but it hits the ceiling. And what a point that was, and the Broncos come out on top. A couple of good scramble plays there. Some good 3 touches and getting it over. As Chloe Sullivan comes back into the front row, ready to serve is going to be Omdahl. On away from the jump serve. Fairchild. Swenson, battle at the net. Pekarski pops it up in the air. Another battle at the net, won by Lucy Kennedy of the Broncos. And they're within 2 at 5-3. Omdahl basically has said, I've been having some issues with that jump serve, so gone away from it. Make a safe serve, get it over, and see what happens. That one just clears the net. Knocked right back over by Thomas. Broncos look to take advantage. Kennedy swings away out the block, down it goes. And Lucy Kennedy showing some emotion as she's got back-to-back points off a block and a kill here for the Broncos, cutting that lead to 5-4. Serve just clears the net again. Fairchild close to the net. The Vikings cannot come up with it, and we've got our first tie of set 5. That's set 5. Set 2 at 5, pardon me. Omdahl to serve again. Just clears the net. Fairchild. Pekarski pops it over. Good dig there by Wold, but she couldn't get it back into play. And the Vikings lead it at 6-5. Ball them back in as Omdahl goes out of the lineup for the Broncos. Pekarski to serve. Back row Olsen. Wold runs it down. Pops it up in the air for Sullivan, who swings away. Dug out in the back row by Erickson. Set up in the middle for Fairchild. Into the net, the official says. And we're tied at 6. Here comes Olivia Thorstensen into the lineup, along with Maddie Lawrenson. Out goes Wold and Stavish. And Lawrenson will serve from the middle of the floor. Back row Erickson. Battle at the net, won by Sullivan. And the Broncos take their first lead at 7-6. That new rule, ball's coming over the net, very close for Sullivan there, whether she reached over a little bit too much, and gives the Broncos the lead. I can see a couple of the Vikings fans calling for a change. Lawrenson up by 1. Back row, Fairchild. Gustafson, far side, popped over by Swenson. See if the Broncos can get an opportunity. Off the ceiling, and Kennedy bumps it over on 3. Pekarski. Back set for Thomas, blocked at the net, and Kennedy comes up with another block. Did not get to play in set 1. She's got 2 blocks and a kill here in the last 4 or 5 points to give the Broncos an 8-6 lead. Lawrenson clips the net, popped up in the air by Erickson. Swenson goes over on 2. Olsen. And the Broncos will scramble it over on 3. Vikings, not a good first pass there. And the Bronco lead increases to 9-6. I honestly think Gustafson, who got a piece of that, tried to see if she could, I don't think she thought it was going to come to her. And a timeout here by Coach Fairchild as the Broncos lead at 9-6, run of 3 points here. And I think Coach Fairchild just kind of feeling like, well, the momentum of aiding your team. So I really like the timeout. When you feel that's what's going on with your team, that you need to talk to them, settle them down, get them back into system, that's exactly what you need to do. So I think she has done that here. And it's 9-6 here in favor of the Broncos. Again, I know we're struggling with the volume a little bit, but we hope that by Wednesday we'll have this figured out. And it could be partly to do with the internet here at the school, that we could be dealing with a few issues getting the signal out. But again, if you're enjoying this program, please consider becoming a KCC-TV member, sponsor, or make a donation. With your continued support, we will be able to live stream Broncos sporting events, school concerts, and community events. And you can find information about that on our website at kcc-tv.org. Serve is over. Vikings looking far side for Swenson. She hits that one too far, does Kenzie. And the Broncos continue their run here as they lead it by a score of 10-6. Broncos have 4 straight here, looking for more as they won set 1, 25-11. Erickson, the pass to Gustafson. She goes far side for Swenson. Swings away, digged out by Olsen, popped over by Gustafson. And the Vikings, miscommunication there, and what a point for the Broncos. The kick save dig in the back row, and then Gustafson just sticks a hand out and pops it over the net for the point for the Broncos. Lawrenson waits for her opportunity. Back row, and she sends that a little bit too far, so the service error gets the side out to the Vikings, and the Broncos lead it at 11-7. Kenzie Swenson to serve. Back row, Olsen. Lawrenson pops it up in the air with a bump, and then Gustafson does the same over the net. Gustafson should go far side for Erickson. Ooh, Gustafson maybe handled that one a little bit too much, but got away with it. Broncos in a scramble mode, and they're going to call 4 hits. I think a miscount by the official, but she's the one with the whistle, and she's going to win that argument as the Vikings close it within 11-8. Kenzie Swenson. Just over the net, ace for the Vikings, and they're within 2 at 11-9. So good positioning there by Kenzie Swenson as she comes up with the ace. The Broncos going to change their serve receive a little bit. 4 now in the back row. Vollum off the ceiling. Lawrenson gets there. Gustafson tips it over. The Vikings, they'll set it up for Fairchild. She swings away and a little bit deep. And the Broncos get the side out and regain a 12-9 lead, or regain a 3-point lead at 12-9. Here comes Katie Ruport in for Lucy Kennedy. Here comes Gracie Swenson in for Maddie Olsen. Ruport will go back to serve. The senior sends it on its way. Back row. Thomas. Gustafson bump set. Erickson swings away. Good dig there by Vollum. She got into great position for that one. Set up for Swenson. Dug out in the back row by Swenson. Now over the net on 3 by Fairchild. See if the Broncos can take advantage. Lawrenson back set to a running Sullivan. There's the kill for the Broncos, and they're up 13-9. I like that play on the run. Anytime, I don't care, college, high school, whatever it is. When you get that player on the run going sideways, makes it for a tough block. Ruport serve is over. Passes a little long. Taking advantage is Sullivan. She'll come up with another point, and the Bronco lead all of a sudden up to 5. So LBF led this set early, but then the Broncos tied it at 5, tied it at 6, took the lead at 7-6, and now they've increased their lead to 14-9. Ruport waiting for the official, who's ready, and so is Ruport. Back row, Pekarski. Gustafson gets there with the bump set off the ceiling, bumped over on 3 by Erickson. Ruport, Lawrenson sets up for Sullivan off the tip. Oh, the Vikings again. Little miscommunication, and the Broncos, I'll say this, have started hitting towards the setter, and it seemed to have caused some communication issues between the Vikings because they don't know who's going to take that, because that's usually the setter's job. And Gustafson has been taking that first hit. Serve just clears the net. Right back over by the Vikings. Sullivan sends it right back over. Vikings back over to the Broncos, who send it right back to LBF. Swinging away. That is Thomas, and she sends it long, and all of a sudden, it's a 7-point bulge for the Broncos at 16-9. And Stephanie Fairchild, I think she's thinking, I got one more point, and then I'm going to have to call my second timeout here in this second set as the Broncos lead is at 7. Rupee to serve. Back row. Off of the body of Swenson, Pekarski, and then a bump over on 3 by the Vikings. Broncos set it up. Swinging away, Gracie Swenson. Dug out there by Erickson. Fairchild off the block. Ruport to Lawrenson, who tips it over on 2. The Vikings couple of pokes, and they get it over on 3, and then somebody runs into the net, and they say it's Thomas of the Vikings, and it's 17-9. I look down at Coach Fairchild. She looks content that she's going to sit there and play this out a little bit. The Broncos have run off 6 straight here to lead it 17-9. Katie Ruport's serve is over. Pop up in the air by Thomas. Off the ceiling, Gustafson. And over on 3 by Erickson. Ballum, a good diving dig there. And now she'll just bump it over on 3 as she stabbed that one out of the air. Far side, set up for for Erickson. It's a little bit out of her reach. And the lead is at 18-9. Just 2 totally different matches from what happened down at Littlefork and what's happening here at the Falls High Gymnasium tonight. The Broncos playing so confidently right now. Serve over. Swenson. Gustafson. Swenson into the net. And it's 19-9. And a timeout here by head coach Stephanie Fairchild. That'll give me an opportunity to remind you that on Wednesday night we will have Bronco football on the air as they take on the Virginia Blue Devils. Pre-game to start about 6:40-ish or so. And we'll have that game on at 7 o'clock. We'll see how things pan out along the way. The Broncos will come into that game on Wednesday night coming off of their 14-8 loss to the Evelyn Gilbert Golden Bears with a 4-3 record. And if my memory serves me correctly, 0-7 are the Vikings. Yeah. As I'm trying to update some stuff here on my phone and talk to you folks all at the same time. That's a bad thing to do. It's like driving and texting. There's a reason why they don't want you doing it. You shouldn't be announcing and texting. It's just bad karma. It leads you into bad places. But I am going to be bound and determined that I am going to find out if the Virginia Blue Devils are 0-7. And we'll see how that all pans out for me here as I push my buttons on the screen. Ruport ready to serve up 19-9. Back row. Thomas. Good pass to Gustafson. Erickson blocked at the net by Thossenson. And the Broncos up 20-9. And yes, the Blue Devils are 0-7. Ruport ready to serve at 20-9. And the streak will come to an end as the serve into the net. So it was a run of 9 straight for the Broncos, and they've increased their lead to 20-10. They led 20-10 back in set 1 where they won 25-11. Serve over by Thomas to Gracie Swenson. Lawrenson runs it down. Swenson will swing out of the back row. Pekarski with the dig. Set up for Fairchild, who push it over on 3. Ruport. Good pass to Lawrenson. She goes over on 2. Touch. And the Vikings will get it over on 3. Lawrenson will set it up this time. She's going to go to Sullivan. Goes for the tip, but that never made it over the net. Sullivan trying to stay out of the net with that touch. And it's 20-11 now in favor of the Broncos. Thomas, good hard serve, dug by Vollum. Back set for Sullivan, who pushes it over. Thomas right there, read that well. Fairchild, no. Erickson bumps it over on 3. Lawrenson, she'll punch it over on 2. That one was pretty close to the net. Far side, Erickson swings away, and it's well long. And the Broncos back up to a 10-point lead at 21-11. In comes Omdahl. Out goes Vollum for the Broncos. Back to serve. Will be Chloe Sullivan. The junior, jump serve on the way. Into the net. So the service error gives the side out back to the Vikings as it's 21-12. Emily Fairchild to serve it here for the Vikings. Back row, Ruport into the bleachers on the near side, and it's 21-13 in favor of the Falls. Broncos just 4 points away from taking a 2-0 lead. Fairchild just clears the net. Oop, we get a whistle. And a violation on the Vikings, and I'm unaware of that signal. I think somebody maybe was too close to the net, maybe got a foot on the, it didn't say under the net. So I'm going to have to go find out what that signal is. 22-13 as Wolf comes into the match ready to serve it. far side. Swenson, Erickson, Pekarski swings away. She hasn't had many opportunities to do that. Dug out by Wold, and Rupert will bump it over on 3. Gustafson, Pekarski, off the block, and down it goes. She was one of the players in that match back in September who just dominated it. I don't remember the number of kills. It was in the double digits, and the Broncos really had no answer for her, and she's only had, I think that's only her 3rd kill in this match. So something to be aware of as we continue forward. Olsen out of the back row. Wolf sets it up for Stavish, who swings away. Punched over the net by Pekarski, and she comes up with another kill, and it's 22-15. Bronco lead down to 7. Broncos just looking for a side out to get within 2 here. We'll see what happens. Danny Erickson. Serve is deep, and it's out. Column, late decision to let that one go. She could feel it and decided to let it go. A little wry smile on her face. I read that one right. Lucy Kennedy in for Ruport. Gracie Swenson back to serve it for the Broncos. Just 2 points away from taking a 2-0 lead. Back row Fairchild. Good pass to Gustafson. Pekarski swings away. Dug out by Swenson. Off the ceiling. Rolled up in the air, and Stavish blocked at the net by Pekarski. And it's 23-16. So Pekarski getting a few points here. A couple off the kills. 1 off the block there. As in comes Olsen. Force Swenson into the back row. This will be the setter, Gustafson, to serve it for the Vikings. Down by 7. Back row Olsen. Wolf punches it over on 2. Gustafson gets a piece of it, and the Vikings knock it over on 2. Broncos scramble and get it over. Gustafson goes over on 2. Kennedy swings away, and just inside the end line and the near sideline, and it's set point here in set number 2 at 24-16. Vollem out, Sullivan in. The Broncos have 8 set points as the senior Tennyson Amdahl comes to the service line. Goes to the jump serve. Just clears the net. Popped up in the air by the Vikings. Can they get over on 3? Pekarski, you bet she will. And comes up with the kill, and it's 24-17. Running parallel to the net, swinging away. Broncos really couldn't get a good block set up on that, and Pekarski took advantage, and she'll head back to serve. Pops one up in the air. Volleyball. Wolf punches it over on 2 and literally punched that one over. Gustafson, far side. Swenson, down it goes. And the Vikings hanging in there at 24-18 as they come up with a couple of set point saving efforts here for the Vikings. Pekarski. Back row, let it go, and it's out. And the Broncos take set 2, 25-18, and they lead it by 2-0. And can the Vikings find some way, like they did down in Littlefork back on September 19th, to all of a sudden break this momentum that the Broncos have found? You might recall again, in that match down in Littlefork, the Broncos won the first set, 27-25, and led it 17-12 in set 2, and then the Vikings absolutely took over the match and won it in 4 sets, 3-1. But boy, I'll tell you, it does not look that way, that the Vikings right now playing with a ton of confidence as they took set 1, 25-11, set 2, 25-18, and now just 1 set away from getting their 3rd win of the season. Well, back for set 3 here as the Broncos will get it underway with Holly Wold. Into the back row, Fairchild. Good pass to Gustafson, near side Erickson. Off the net, dug out there by McBride. Wold pushes it over on 2. Gustafson sets it up for Erickson again. She swings into the back corner. The Bronco defense had shifted, and the Vikings lead it by a score of 1-0. Erickson will go back to serve. Patient as always, Danny Erickson. Now she's ready. And the Broncos say it is out, and it is out. And we're tied at 1 here in set 3. Maddie Olson. She wants out of the mat. No, I don't think she wants out of the mat. She just knows she's supposed to. Here comes Lucy Kennedy. In. Olivia McBride. Back to serve. I think this is her first opportunity to serve in this match. Just clears the net. Fairchild. To Gustafson. Pekarski just punches it over and finds a hole in the middle of the Bronco defense, and she comes up with another kill, and the Vikings lead it by a score of 2-1. Get another substitution as McBride will come out of the match. Ruport will come in to play the back row. Carly Gustafson ready to serve it for the Vikings from the far side. One of the few players who doesn't serve from the center of the floor. Far side Kennedy. Good pass. Oh, that one was a little long. I thought it was a good pass. And it just kept floating and floating and floating. And Wolf touches the net, and the violation gives the point to LBF at 3-1. Serve into the net by Gustafson. Broncos get the side out, trailing here 3-2. Omdahl back to serve. Sullivan in for Vollum. Interested to see if she'll go to the jump serve here. Omdahl. She will. Clears the net. Dug out in the back row by Erickson. Gustafson runs it down. Swenson punches it over on 3. Rupert with the bump set to Stavish, who didn't get her feet quite underneath that one. And the point to the Vikings. They lead it 4-2. So now the Vikings have hit it to the Broncos setter a couple times, and that's caused them some issues. Vollum to Wold. Set up. Kennedy will swing away, and it's into the net. And it's a 5-2 lead. Vikings led 5-2 in the last set, but the Broncos came back and won it 25-18. Karski serve over. Ruport. Wold. Stavish swings away, gets it over. Gustafson punches it back over on the diving dig. Set up for Sullivan. She swings away and just long. Touch. I thought a touch. Referees say no touch, and a point to LBF, and they lead it 6-2. No Winston replay here like you do in college volleyball. Vollum. Good pass to Wold. Set up for Stavish. Blocked at the net by Swenson, but the Broncos will get it over on 2, but wide of the near sideline. And it's a 4-point run here for the Vikings as they lead it 7-2. Karski serve over. Vollum. Good pass to Wold. Sets it up in the middle for Kennedy. Had to reach back for that one. Didn't get quite all of it. Vikings look to pop it up in the air, and a 4th hit. And the point goes over to the Broncos at 7-3. Now our scoreboard says 6-3, and I don't think I gave an extra point. We'll see if things get straightened away. Substitutions coming in for the Broncos. Lawrenson and Thorstensen in. Oh, hang on. We're going to make sure that we get everything straightened away. So they're going to make sure Lawrence and Steps do this right. And Coach Stephanie Fairchild up and talking with the scorekeeper, Mr. Boyle, making sure the scorebook is correct. And I know the score is wrong, and that's what they might be discussing right now. And if they'd like to ask me, I'd love to give my 2 cents worth, if that'd be okay. That if they want my what I have, but of course, the only person who really matters is what Jay Boyle has in his book. Doesn't matter what the scoreboard says, doesn't matter what I say, doesn't matter what the coaches say. He's the official scorebook, and what he says matters. And I believe it should be 7-3, folks, but this is what they're discussing down there. And even the head referee is going to come down out of the stand and actually make a plea here and see what is happening. And Coach Stephanie Fairchild has every right to be making sure that she gets her point. And the referee is sending the assistant and head coach, Stephanie Fairchild, back to the bench. They have not told Shelby Nosen to do that because she's just standing there, listening, waiting, like the rest of us. As the officials looking down, and they do have a 3rd point up for the Vikings, which is close to right. But we'll see if the Vikings get their 2nd point, or their additional point, and there it is up on the scoreboard. So it is 7-3. That is exactly what I have, and now those substitutions will be made now that the scorebook is correct. And Maddie Lawrenson will get that opportunity to serve. Broncos trailing at 7-3. Just clears the net. Fairchild. Gustafson. Back to Swenson. Off the net. Down he goes. So the Broncos stopped a run of 4 straight points, but then that delay and things didn't go the way of the Broncos. Back to serve. Swenson. And popped up at the last moment by Rupert. She thought it was going to go out, then realized it wasn't going to go out. Got a piece of it up off the ceiling, and it's a 6-point lead for the Vikings at 9-3. Kenzie Swenson. Serve on the way. Just cleared the net. Vollum. Lawrenson. And Vollum bumps it over on 3 at the far corner. Just a little wide. Little long, excuse me. And it's a 7-point bulge here for the Vikings at 10-3. Swenson to serve it again for the Vikings. Wide of the far sideline. And the Broncos get the side out here, but trail 10-4. Here comes Olsen in for Kennedy. McBride coming in for Rupert. Back to serve will be number 9, Maddie Olsen. Serve on the way. Just clears the net, and it's an ace for the senior, who has served very, very well in this match tonight. I believe that is her 2nd ace of this match. Could be 3. Had a run earlier in this match of, I believe, 9 straight points. Serve is over. Battle at the net. Fossison knocks it back towards the Vikings. They'll bump it over on 3. Vollum looks for Lawrence. Gets it. Far side for McBride. Didn't get all of it. Dug out by the Vikings. They get it over on 2. Over the top of Fossison, which isn't easy to do at 6'2", and in front of Lawrenson for the point, and the Vikings lead it 11-5. Thomas. Mrs. Thomas will serve it from the center of the floor. Far side, McBride, her pass out on the far side. And it's a 7-point lead for LBF. Looking to get back into this match. They're down 2-0 as the Broncos have won the first 2 sets, 25-11, 25-18, in case you're just joining us. Into the back row, Olsen, her pass a little long. And Fairchild got a piece of that at the net, knocked it down, and comes up with a point. And now 13-5, and now Coach Shelby Nosen is going to take a timeout. I was looking down to see if she was going to call it, and she does here with the Broncos down by 5 at 13, down by 8 at 13-5. And that gives me an opportunity to tell you that if you're watching this game on Midco Channel 7, you can also watch it on your phone, computer, tablet, smart TV. What else, Robert? Anything I'm missing there? You could computer. I don't know. What have they invented? Kindles. So if you want to watch it on while you're out and about, you can definitely do that at kcc-tv.org. You can also watch it on Facebook. We're there, and you can also watch it on YouTube. So lots of opportunities to be able to live stream this game. And of course, it will be on our website. You can watch it in case you want to watch it again or watch certain portions of it. You can definitely watch this on replay. Immediately after this game is over, it will be ready to go and ready to be rewatched, as this match at 13. So as we come back to it, Vikings up by 8. Serve on the way, and it's into the net. Timeout gets the result for Shelby Nosen as they get the side out. Amdahl back into the front row as Vollum goes to the bench to the libero. Jump serve on the way by Sullivan. Back row, just long. Back to an 8-point lead for LBF. It'll be Fairchild to serve it for the Vikings, up by 8. Back row Olsen. Good pass to Lawrenson, goes far side for a swinging Ondal off the net. Didn't hit it exactly where she wanted, but she gets the point. And the Broncos trail by a touchdown at 14-7. Wold in for Thorstensen. Stavish in for Lawrenson. Wold back to serve it. Into the net. 15-7 here in favor of LBF. Happy to have you along here on KCC TV. Danny Erickson to serve it for LBF. Over the net, Volleyball. Looking for Wold. Far side, Omdahl. Swings away off the block. Picked up there by Thomas. Punched over by Pekarski on 2. Good diving dig there by Stavish, but unable to get a second touch are the Broncos. And it's 16-7. Has the momentum changed, folks? Is this what has happened here? Has the Vikings found a way to get back into this match? A floater, Vollum. Wold runs it down. Back set for Olivia McBride off the block. Dug out there by Erickson. Near side for Swenson. She swings off the net. Coming up with it is McBride. They go to Omdahl. Off the block. Omdahl pops it up in the air. Wold. And now Vollum. Got contacted by her own teammate. Cannot get it over on 3, and it's a double-digit lead now for LBF at 17-7. Danny Erickson. The serve again here for the Vikings. 3 straight for LBF. Olsen. Wold runs it down, pops it up in the air. Over on 3 with the bump by McBride. Gustafson comes into the middle. Pekarski battle at the net. Back to the Vikings. They go over on 2. Broncos, quick set for Omdahl, swings away, and a touch of the net, I believe, by, they say number 10, that is Swenson. And the Broncos cut their deficit to 17-8 as Kennedy comes in for Maddie Olsen. Olivia McBride to serve it for the Falls. They need a run here to see if they can finish off this match. Just clears the net, over on 1. McBride, a stab to get to that one to get a piece of it as she was running from behind the service line. And it's a point for the Vikings. And back to a 10-point lead at 18-8. She's already come around back to Gustafson, and she serves from the far side of the floor. Just clears the net. Ballum gets there. Wold pops it up in the air. Omdahl gets it over, and unable to come up with it was Erickson. And the Broncos trail at 18-9. Ballum out. Sullivan in for the Falls. Omdahl back to serve it. Back row Fairchild cannot come up with a good first pass. It's into the bleachers on the far side of the floor. The Broncos, as I mentioned, need to go on a run here. See if they can put some pressure on the Vikings. 5-6 in a row here would do immense amounts of pressure on the Vikings and see if they can turn this around. Omdahl, good hard jump serve there. Vikings pop it up and get it over on 3. Touch there by Omdahl, but could not make a good pass to Wold. And the side out gives the serve back to the Vikings as they lead it 19-10. Pekarski, serve is over. Good pass by Ruport. Wold sets it up for Sullivan, who tried to be too fine with that one. Didn't quite swing away on it. Looked for the hole on the near side of the Vikings defense. And it's a 10-point lead at 20-10. They've had that score in all 3 sets so far. Broncos led it by 20-10 in the first 2 sets. Wold bump one back. Stavish out of her reach, and it's 21-10, and it's a timeout by head coach Shelby Nosen. I'd like to thank Darcy and Robert Sullivan for their efforts here tonight. Robert on the camera, well, Darcy a little bit too on the camera as we've been working through some technical issues here, and apologize for the sound difficulties we're having tonight. I think we've tried every possible remedy, and we just have been unable to come up with anything. Again, it sounds great in my ears. Everything, there's no static there, but I hear that you are hearing static, and that can be very frustrating for you listening at home. I hope you'll bear with us, and you still are enjoying the action here on KCC TV and KCC-TV.org. As we come out of the timeout, the Vikings, Pekarski will be serving, and they lead it by 11, just 4 points from taking their first set of this match. Serve is over. Kennedy popped a set of hands in front of Rupert, who thought she had it, and the touch goes to the back wall, and it's a 12-point lead for LBF at 22-10. Volley. Good pass for Wold. Set up for Sullivan. She swings away near corner. Dug out nicely there by Erickson. Bumped over on 3 by Fairchild. Rupert. Set up for Stavish, who swings away. Pekarski gets a left hand on that one. Nice diving dig there, and the Vikings pop it over on 3. Set for Sullivan. She had to adjust. Got it over. The Vikings somehow get it over on 2, and they're scrambling. Kennedy punches it over. There's Gustafson again. Fairchild swings away. Dug out by Wold, and back over to LBF. Fairchild again, another dig by Wold. Stavish into the net. Point Vikings, and now just 2 points away from taking set 3. Maddie Pierre comes off the bench for the Broncos, as she will replace Stavish in the front row. Karski serves. Back row Rupert. Wold. Far side for Sullivan. She swings away out the block, and down it goes. 23-11 now. Broncos trail it as they will serve. Bostonson in. Lawrenson in. Lawrenson to serve. Into the net. Oh, I can't really say it was into the net. It actually hit Sullivan in the back of the arm, and it is set point for LBF. 13 times on the set point as they lead at 24-11. It's a funny game, folks. The game of volleyball. Of course, most sports do that in high school. Serve over. Lawrenson pops it over on 2. Vikings will, that's a double touch by Gustafson. She touched it twice in a row, I believe. No call. Kennedy off the block, and down it goes to save 1 set point. Broncos would have to go on an unbelievable run here. Not undoable, but it is 24-12. Maddie Olson goes back to service. She just comes in the match. McBride in for Rupert. Nosen, long conversation with Lawrenson as Olson gets the whistle from the official. Pekarski, good pass to Gustafson. She goes over on to Lawrenson. Olson on the run, Sullivan, far corner. Pekarski comes up with a nice diving dig there. Erickson swings away, Vollum in the back corner, comes up with it. Set up for Sullivan on the run, off the block. Vikings pop it over. Sullivan swings away, down it goes. Well, the Broncos have saved a couple of set points here. Trail at 24-13. See the scoreboard back up. That's good. Far side. Up into the ceiling. Vikings. Pekarski will bump it over on a long one on 3. Back set for a running Sullivan. Swings away. And Gustafson couldn't come up with that one as it is in to the bleachers. And the Broncos seem to be looking for number 6, the junior Chloe Sullivan, as she comes up with back-to-back points for the Falls. Olsen to serve it again. A little bit juiced, yes. Long, and the third set goes to the Vikings at 25-14. So the Broncos win set 1, 25-11. They win set 2, 25-18, and then just get absolutely flipped around, and it's 25-14 in favor of LBF in set 3. Welcome back here to the Falls High Gymnasium. I do want to mention the North Central Stars, 7-0 on the season. The Stars football team from Littlefork, Big Falls, Kellier, Northholm, Kellier. I don't know who gets the first saying down there. I know they do it both ways, but they are 7-0. They are heading to 6-1 South Ridge on Wednesday night. It ought to be a dandy game down there. If I wasn't working another football game, I think I might find my way down to Culver for that game. And it should be a dandy between two teams that are looking to wrap up #1 seeds in the playoffs. And of course, the North Central Stars looking to wrap up that #1 seed in Section 8 9-man. They are out in 8. And Stephen Argyle looks like they would get the #2 seed as they've got a couple of losses on the season. But the Stars playing out west, and interestingly enough, if they were to make the section championship game, and we certainly hope that they would do that, they would actually be playing out at the Fargo Dome on Halloween Day. So just, mark your calendars. Maybe I'll have to make a run out to Fargo. That would be kind of fun to go watch a little football on a Thursday afternoon. I think they play 4 section championship games in a row out there at the Fargo Dome. So, hey, you never know what could happen. As we come back for set 4, the Broncos lead it 2-1. The Vikings will get things underway, I believe. And Emily Fairchild says, wait a minute. Yeah, they were supposed to start the serve. Everybody's started from our left to right here. And Danny Erickson will get it started. Broncos scored the first point in set 1 and won it. The Vikings scored it in set 2 and the Broncos still won. And now the Vikings scored it in set 3 and they won very comfortably. Serve is over. Volley. Lawrenson back to Gracie Swenson, who swings away, and it's in on the near sideline. And the Broncos takes the first point here of set 4. Gracie Swenson, after the kill, will go back to serve it for the Falls. Broncos again leading it 2-1. Back row. Thomas over on 1. Swinging away is Omdahl, and she's just a hair long, looking for the touch. None coming, and we're tied at 1. Addie Olson comes in for Gracie Swenson, the 8th grader. Senior replaces her. Sophomore setter for the Vikings, Carly Gustafson, ready to serve it. Back row, Olson just came into the match. Wold, back set for Omdahl. Off the dig, off the ceiling, up into the ceiling for a second time. And a point for the Broncos, and they lead it 2-1. All the years I've watched volleyball, I don't know if I've watched consecutive hits go into the ceiling. That might be something new, and I didn't think that was possible for me to see something new at the volleyball level. Here comes the jump serve from Omdahl into the net, and we're tied at 2. Omdahl out, ball him in, back into the libero position. Pekarski back to serve it for the Vikings, tied at 2. Back row Vollum. Wold sets it up for Kennedy. Swings away off the block of Fairchild. Erickson finds it. Oh! And then Gustafson and Pekarski said, you got it? No, oh! And the point for the Broncos as they lead it 3-2. Bostonson and Lawrenson will come in for Maddie Pierre and for Wold. Lawrenson heads back to serve as she does when she comes into the match. The junior ready to serve it here for International Falls. Little floater, Pekarski dives in there. Swenson gets it off the face of Lawrenson. I honestly didn't think that Swenson could go back in that direction, but she changed the direction of that ball, and we're tied at 3, our 3rd tie of this 4th set. Broncos leading it 2-1. Kenzie Swenson, good hard serve. All got a diving one-handed dig out of the back. Kennedy knocks it over on 3. Gustafson goes back to the far side. Erickson somehow punched that one over the net. Back to Thossenson. She runs it up there. Erickson blocks it. Popped over by Sullivan. That has to be a carry, but the Broncos take the 4-3 lead. Here comes Ruport into the game for Lucy Kennedy. Here comes Gracie Swenson in for Maddie Olson. Looking down at the bench. I think only one player hasn't been in to this match for the Broncos. as Coach Shelby Nosen has played her bench liberally in this game. Serve over by Rupert. First pass is a tough one. Thossenson comes up with the block at the net. She comes up with the point, and finally somebody has a 2-point lead in this fourth set, and it's the Broncos at 5-3. Rupert serve is over. Backing up, there is Swenson. She pops it up in the air. At the net, punched over by Fairchild. Rupert gets a touch, but it goes into the far side bleachers, and the Vikings cut it to 5-4. Back to serve is Missa Thomas. Back row Vollum. Lawrenson runs down the pass, sets it up for Gracie Swenson. Goes far corner, dug out there by the Vikings, and they'll bump it over on 3. And the Broncos take advantage. Set up. Ooh, Vollum just had to bump that over on 3. Lots of miscommunication on who was going to get that one. Blocked at the net by Thossenson, and maybe Sullivan actually got that one as the Broncos regain the lead at 6-4. Vollum out, Omdahl in. Sullivan back to serve. Back corner, Pekarski. Got up on her a little bit. Vikings will bump it over on 3. Back line, too far. 3-point lead for the Falls at 7-4. Of course, NEA coming up this end of this week. Thursday and Friday off for the kids and the teachers. Sullivan serve on the way. Back row. Swenson. Gustafson swinging away as Fairchild. Dug out in the back row there by Sullivan, but a little bit long on her pass. And the point to the Vikings. And it's 7-5. Sullivan comes out as Vollum comes in. Fairchild to serve. Back row Rupert. Popped up in the air by Lawrenson. Off the net by Omdahl. Dug out on the far side by Erickson. Pekarski goes over on 2. Right smack dab in the middle of the 6 Bronco players. And the Vikings cut it to 7-6. Senior Fairchild to serve. Rupi off the ceiling. Omdahl swings on 3 and gets it over. Fairchild. Gustafson. Pekarski will just slap it over on 3. Lawrenson. Upset by Vollum to Thossenson. She gets it over. Blocked by Erickson. Vikings come right back over to Rupert. Set up near side. Omdahl pushes it to the far side. Nobody there for the Vikings. And it's 8-6 after the Omdahl kill. Here come the substitutions for the Broncos. Wold in for Thossenson. Maddie Pierre in for Maddie Lawrenson. Wold will go back to serve. Far side, popped up there by Swenson in the middle. Swinging away is Omdahl. Dug out in the back row by Thomas, but not a second touch to be found for the Vikings, and the Bronco lead increases to 9-6. When I talked to head coach Shelby Nosen before the game, she said her saying to her team in their pre-game practice that they had earlier today was be calm. The Broncos have, I think, accomplished that. Pekarski off the block, dug out there by Pierre over the net. Erickson pops it over to the Broncos. Nice diving dig there by Rupert. Omdahl tried to put a little touch on that one. Unfortunately, it's into the net, and it's 9-7 now in favor of the Broncos. The Broncos have looked calm out on the floor here tonight, and simple as that. Sometimes a little confidence early will do that. Erickson serve. A floater near side. Pierre. Wolf back set for Gracie Swenson. She just punches it over on 3. Close to the net. Gustafson knocks it over on 2. Set up for Omdahl, who just punches it over. Vikings scrambling. Couldn't find the touch as Omdahl got it to the far sideline. And Emily Fairchild had to dive for that one. And it was on the far sideline. Maybe hesitated about whether it was going to be in or out. It looked like it was going to be in from here. And the point for the Broncos at 10-7 is Gracie Swenson will serve it. Back row Erickson to Swenson. Karski bumps over on 3. Here come the Broncos. They look for Omdahl, who swings away long. 10-8 here. Here comes Maddie Olson back into the match for the Broncos as she replaces Gracie Swenson. Ready to serve will be Gustafson. A floater. Vollum gets underneath it. Wold on the bump set. Kennedy over on 3. Vikings look for Pekarski. She's into the net and into the net. Got that fourth touch. It never got to the hands of Omdahl, who was looking for the block, and it's a 3-point lead as Sullivan comes into the match replacing Vollum and Omdahl, who looked good with the jump serve early, hit the last one into the net. What will she do here? So going to go to the jump serve. Back row, too long. But having a tough time finding that happy medium. One into the net, one too long. And that's the gamble you play with that jump serve. I like the aggressiveness. Go jump serve. I say every time, Tennyson, you can do it, do it. And there's an ace for Pekarski, as the Broncos thought that one was going to go out. But it's into the right onto the end line, and it's 11-10 in favor of the Broncos after the ace by the Vikings. Pekarski to serve. Little floater, Vollum. Good pass to Wold. Set up in the middle for Kennedy. Off the net and gets the kill. Not as clean as she wants it to be, but it all counts the same. And a very excited Lucy Kennedy plays with her emotions on her sleeve. Here comes Thossenson and Lawrenson in for Pierre and Wold. Lawrenson back to serve it. Up by 2 are the Broncos, looking to close this match out and win it 3-1. Floater into the back row. Erickson, Pekarski, and bumped over by Fairchild. And it's out. Oof, was that close? I wasn't sure. I was waiting for the flag up or down. I wasn't 100% sure. The line judge says it just was deep. Here comes Gracie Swenson for Maddie Olsen. And Lawrenson will serve here. Back row, Erickson. Swenson. And over on 3 on the bump by Pekarski. Lawrenson will set it up near side. Kennedy swings away into the net. And the side out gives the serve back to the Vikings as they trail it 13-11. Serve over by Swenson. Dug out by Swenson in the back row. On the run, Kennedy, and bumped over by Vollum on 3. Vikings set it up far side for Erickson. Blocked by Thossenson. Dug up there by Thomas to Gustafson, and over on 3 by Fairchild. Gracie Swenson up into the ceiling. Popped up in the air by Sullivan and over by Thossenson. Vikings set it up. They go far side. Blocked at the net by Fairchild. Going back over with Thossenson. Good dig there by Swenson. Blocked by Thossenson again. Vikings swing away on 3. Vollum dig in the back row. Set up near side. Kennedy punches it over. Dug out by Gustafson. Far side for Erickson, who will bump it over. Lawrenson on the run. Sullivan swings away out the block, and down it goes. So a good long rally. Both teams getting opportunities, and the Broncos end up getting the point. Ruport in for Kennedy. She will serve. Vikings have made just one substitution in this match, and that was in set 2. Senior Ruport. Back corner, Pekarski. Gustafson, far side for Erickson on the run, and she hits it too long, and the Broncos have their biggest lead of this 4th set at 15-11. Again, the Broncos lead it 2-1, so looking to sew up this match for their 3rd win of the season. Newport serve is over. Swenson, Gustafson, Fairchild swings away, long. And the Broncos all of a sudden have a 5-point lead at 16-11, and Coach Stephanie Fairchild says, no more. We've got to call this timeout, as the Broncos were tied at 3, but they've outscored the Vikings 13-8 over this stretch to lead at 16-11. If you enjoy this program, consider becoming a KCC-TV member, sponsor, or make a donation. With continued support, we are able to live stream Broncos sporting events, school concerts, and community events. Information about making donations, becoming a member, or sponsoring a program can be found on our website, kcc-tv.org. I look down at the bench, and I see Coach Shelby Nosen, 4 players pulled off to the side, talking to them specifically about something that she wants to see as the flags for each team, the colors being run around the gym. as the fans get into it during this first timeout of set 4. It's a scary sight when you see a kid running with a Bronco flag and you don't think you've ever seen the kid before in your life. I don't know who it is, honestly, and I guess I'm gonna have to look a little closer in the hallway. I don't know who this kid in the orangish shirt, pinkish shirt is. I don't know who that is. We'll have to do some investigating tomorrow in class as we come back to play. 16-11 in favor of the Broncos. Ruport serving. Dawsonson did not come back out onto the floor to wait, and it's an ace for Ruport as I find my way giggling because she's sprinting out onto the floor is Olivia Dawsonson, and I thought that might distract Ruport, but no dice. That just helped out. Maybe caught the eye of the Vikings player. 6-point lead for the Falls. Back row. Swenson. Good pass to Gustafson. Sets it up for Fairchild. Pushes it over on 3. Ballum. Good pass to Lawrenson on the run. Sullivan swings away too long. So 17-12. So a 4-point run there for the Broncos. He has given them a 6-point lead, and now it sits at 5 as Nissa Thomas serves for the Vikings. Gracie Swenson. Good pass to Lawrenson. They come right back to Swenson. Blocked at the net by Fairchild. Broncos push it over on 3 by Thorstensen. Set up Erickson. Off the block. Dug out by Lawrenson. Broncos will just knock it over on 3. Thomas gets there. Right back to the Broncos. Lawrenson sets it up for Swenson. She swings away off of Erickson's hands, and it's a kill for Gracie Swenson, and it's an 18-12 lead for the Falls. Ball them out. Amdahl in for the Broncos. Sullivan back to serve. Jump serve under the net. And it's 18-13. Almost like she took our eye off the ball at the last second. Somebody moved for the Broncos, and I think she looked at that and distracted her a little bit. And the serving error gives the serve back to the Vikings. Fairchild's serve is over. Broncos set it up near side for Amdahl. Swings away and touch the line. No. Top official says no, it's out. And it's 18-14. The head official never even looked at the judge. She just made the call and said it was out, and that's the way it is going to be. Fairchild to serve it, down by 4. Back row, Ruport. Lawrenson pushes it over on 2. Right there's Thomas. It goes over the net. Lawrenson, near side for Swenson. Just couldn't get the timing right on that one. And all of a sudden, the Bronco lead down to 3 at 18-15. Serve just clears the net. Ballin gets a piece of it. Swenson and bumped over by Lawrenson on 3. Gustafson in the middle to Pekarski. She swings away. Blocked by Thorstensen. Amdahl swings away. Off the block of Pekarski, and down it goes for the Broncos at 19-15 now. Broncos inching ever closer to winning this match. Wold in. Pierre in. Wold back to service. Thorstensen and Lawrenson come out of the match for the Broncos. Wold serve, far corner. Swenson digs it out there. Battle at the net. Popped up by the Vikings and over to the Broncos. Wold goes over on 2. Set up for Pekarski. Down it goes in the far corner. Avoided the block and found the far corner, and it's 19-16 now. Broncos lead it by 3. Vikings need this set to extend it to a 5th and deciding set. Erickson, serve on the way. Back row, Ruport. Wold, back set to Swenson. Into the net, says the official, and it's a 2-point game. 19-17. The senior, Danny Erickson, back to serve again. Too long on the serve. And that takes a little of the pressure off the Broncos as the Vikings had cut it to 2, but it sits at 3 now. Lucy Kennedy in for Katie Ruport. The 8th grader Swenson ready to serve for the Broncos. Over the net, dug out there. by the Vikings. Swinging away is Swenson, but dug out nicely by Vollum. Kennedy swings away, and it's too long. 20-18, the score in favor of the Broncos. Cedar Gustafson back to serve for the Vikings, trailing 20-18. Floater, back row, Vollum. Thought Kennedy might going to be taking that one. Looks at her and says, eh. And it's 20-19, a 1-point set here. Gustafson, will she go back to that near corner? Goes to the far corner. Swenson pops it over on the first one. Is that digging out low? Blocked at the net. Broncos come up with it. Pierre knocks it over. Erickson. Vikings will bump it over on 3. Let's see if the Broncos can take advantage. Wolf, near side. Amdahl swings away. Dug out nicely by Erickson. Up in the ceiling. Vikings scramble. Blocked at the net by Amdahl. Point, Bronco. As they regain a 2-point lead at 21-19. Amdahl the serve. Sullivan in for Vollum. Serve just clears the net. Diving there was Thomas. Couldn't get a second touch on it. And the Broncos lead by 3 and are within 3 points of clinching this match in 4 sets. Amdahl, no jump serve this time or last time. Just clears the net again. Same effect, it's going to be an ace this time as Thomas got a touch on it, but it was long on the near end line. And it's 23-19. The Broncos just 2 points away. Amdahl into the net this time. Tried to keep it low. Having fighting that deep ball versus into the net. She got it over the first 2 times, but couldn't get that third time. 23-20 as Vollum comes back into the match, replacing Amdahl. Pekarsky to serve. Vollum has it. Wold runs it down, pops it up for Sullivan, who knocks it towards the far line, and they get a touch on the Vikings, and it's match point for International Falls at 24-20. They'll have 4 set points as Thorstensen will come in for Wolf. Lawrenson will come in and try to serve this one out for the Vikings as she replaces Maddie Pierre. Broncos looking for their first win since September 7th in a match. Looking to break a 10-match losing streak. Serve is over by Lawrenson. Fairchild. Off the ceiling, Gustafson gets it over to Swenson into the net. And the Broncos win it in 4 sets as they win it 25-11, 25-18, 14-25, and 25-20. And they'll end their regular season with a win as they will be advancing on to play in the playoffs next Wednesday evening on the road. All depends upon whether it might be Mesabi East or is it going to be Hermantown. It looks like it's between those 2 teams, but keep tuned to the International Falls Broncos Facebook page and my Twitter account at Tim Ringenhofer, and you can find out what's going on. Try to keep you up to date the best we can as the Broncos again win it in 4 sets, 25-11, 25-18, 14-25, and 25-20. Our next KCC-TV broadcast, live broadcast, will be on Wednesday night as we will be at Sports Stadium, as we will be there to bring you the final regular season game for the Bronco football team as the 4-3 Broncos take on the 0-7 Virginia Blue Devils in the final regular season game. Pregame will start right around 6:45 as the Broncos look to clinch a number 3 seed in the playoffs and have a home game next Tuesday night against an opponent to be determined. That's going to wrap it up for Darcy and Robert Sullivan doing all the button pushing and the camera work. This is Tim Ringenhofer wishing you a very fine evening from the Falls High Gymnasium.